Welcome back, everyone, to the weekly Armchair Kickoff podcast. Today, I'm joined by head coach from SBG Clonmel, Colin Meagher. Colin, how are you this morning? Thanks for coming on.
I'm good, Keane. Thank you for having me. Awesome to be here. What's the story?
Not much now. I'm all good this morning. Very busy day ahead of me. So, very thanks for coming on, Joe, on the short notice that we did give you.
No stress. Thank you again for having me.
No problem. So for viewers who don't know, who are predominantly football listeners, Colin is head coach of SBG Clonmel. Now, SBG is the leading MMA gym in Ireland, so they have many gyms across Dublin and in Naas as well. And then Colin is over the SBG gym in Clonmel. So Colin, kind of looking into your kind of path into combat sports, recently, you fight in MMA and you do grappling, you do jiu-jitsu. Kind of what led you into the world of kind of combat sports, and kind of what developed your interest in to kind of take that up as a career?
It's hard to pinpoint it. I've been asked that question a lot. It's a hard one to pinpoint, but like as far as like my mother got me into like every sport, as a lot of young lads do when I was growing up. I done usual GA, soccer, rugby, and well, I don't know. I always had a big fan. I was a big fan of like adrenaline sports. Like I was big into like motocross and that give me a good rush or a buzz. I always enjoyed that. And I started karate when I was 5, 6 in a local karate hall up in Clooneen.
Yeah. And
I lived up the road from my house. Done that for a few years, and again learned some values and things that I carry on through till today from that. Soon after the karate, I suppose in about 8, 9, 10, I was doing a bit of boxing and kickboxing, just again in local gyms, and I was always kind of dribbling and drabbing in it, and I enjoyed that, and it just my love for martial arts, I suppose, that always fed something, or filled the hole that the other sports couldn't, and again the push and the buzz from doing it was always something that I really, really enjoyed, and then the curiosity then of the skills, and obviously when you persevere that and then you see yourself getting better and you look back at it, obviously you might get hit a good bit in the beginning, but as it becomes a lot more fun, again you only get to see what you get out of it, having stayed at it with hindsight, like that, and I suppose. But yeah, it just grew over those years, and I suppose I always like the responsibility that martial arts give you. You don't have it's all on you, no matter how good or bad or anything goes. No one else to blame. You can't blame a team or someone else. It's like you either show up and put in the work or you don't. And again, that reflects as far as results. So again, I like that level of responsibility, and it keeps you, I suppose, honest with yourself, and keeps you improving,
Yeah.
That grew then. I came across my first MMA gym with jiu-jitsu and wrestling and everything when I was about 14, 15. That was in Kilkenny. And I didn't know what it was. My cousin asked me, do I want to go to a jiu-jitsu class with him? He'd gone to one or two already. And I actually bought for my first session the handle off of a sweeping brush, because I thought it was like a spinny stick fighting stuff, And I went down, and I played rugby for years, and I'd boxed and done karate. And I thought I was kind of at a fairly decent level of holding my own.
Yeah.
And I went in against, I remember the first lad I ever rolled with, his name was Adam, a small little lad. He was younger than me, and he was literally half my size. I was big enough at the time from the rugby. And he just done whatever he wanted to me. Every time he touched me, I was tapping, or he was squeezing somewhere and causing me pain, and it was crazy. Like, and I fell in love with that straight away. I was like, I have to learn how you done that to me. Because again, it's that narrow-mindedness that it kind of opens your eyes. Like, and I see it again and again and again when new students come in here. It's really eye-opening when you come in having never actually experienced what it's like to be in an actual fight. It's a bit of the usual example that you'd be giving us. But it's very humbling and eye-opening when somebody comes in and a small teenager who looks, again, it goes against everything that you think naturally, that they can pin you down and do what they want to you. It's and it's very, again, eye-opening and humbling experience when people get to see that. And again, that's another thing that martial arts I find very good for. I find the nicest people in the world I met some of the nicest people in the world, and some of the most dangerous people in the world, if you get me. Again, the boys and girls in here, I guarantee, are not the people you'll ever find out causing trouble or, doing, I suppose, living up to that stereotype, you know?
Yeah. And I find with like people who are involved in mixed martial arts and any combat sports in general, they're very disciplined. Like it brings out kind of a very disciplined side in them where they mightn't have had before. Do you know what I mean? Like I find from people who I know who've went into that kind of that path in terms of sport, they come out of it kind of more grown as a person.
Yeah, I think you learn a lot about yourself because again, it's a big, again, in a very healthy way. It's not like you come in and that's the biggest stereotype that's I think out there, that you're going to walk into an MMA gym on your first day and be thrown in and just be made fight to the death with someone. You know, it's and that's the biggest, I suppose, thing that I'm looking to change in the stigma around it, especially around locally, you know. And again, people come in here, they're going to be welcomed with open arms. You know, they'll be getting sick of people fist bumping with elbows now. But again, we've a program in place from a day one beginner to come in with absolutely no previous training or skills or whatsoever. There's no requirements. You don't have to be a fighter. You don't have to be able to do anything. It's like martial arts first, fighter second. You know, or martial arts first, fighter second. And it's like you come in, you're going to learn the fundamental tools and be given, you know, the tools to work with and to be able to, again, self-educate and self-correct over time. You know, we want to give you the tools to teach yourself for the time, you know. And you learn the fundamental aspects of, like, again, in a real self-defense situation, as well as in mixed martial arts, MMA, which is the closest thing to a real, we'll say, self-defense fight without the obviously biting and eye gouging and stuff. You can still show up and train again tomorrow, you know.
Yeah.
But before you do MMA, you're going to be like introduced to learn how to move your feet and your head and use your hands. So don't get hit, and the sweet science of distance management, angles, pivots, and the boxing. You know, so that's what you do in the boxing class. Kickboxing, Muay Thai class. Again, we don't call it Muay Thai or kickboxing particularly because our students can compete in whatever they want to compete. You just adapt to the rule set. You know, if it's a Muay Thai match, you fight on the Thai rules. If it's K1, it's K1 rules. If it's kickboxing, it's them rules, you know? Yeah. They're all different forms of kicking and punching. At the end of the day, you want to hit that guy and not get hit by him. You know, hit, don't get hit. And take damage, take no damage, you know? And the fundamental tools carry over. You just have to learn to adjust the rules, and that's just understanding them in your head, you know, and being able to adapt. But so in our striking classes then, again, there's no sparring in these classes. These classes are part skills, part fitness, you know? Yeah. So again, being aware of what to do and the options you have, and then your body has to be ready to be able to do it, you know? So the athletic side with the skills side, you know? And the person who is both, you know? And then in the striking classes then, so you're boxing, we're just focusing on the head movement, footwork, shots. Again, it's a good workout as well as, obviously you'll be learning a lot of fundamentals. Then the K1 striking classes, which is adding the kicks, punch, knees, elbows, sweeps, and again, learning how to do them in a safe way. And a lot of different various skills and drills, solo drills, partner exercise drills, and so on. And you'll be working alongside it with your coaches and your team. The wrestling classes, we focus on basically how, like, a mixture between freestyle, Greco-Roman wrestling. We'd even use the wall like we would like a cage in MMA or, you know. So basically, no submissions, no strikes. The goal is to get that, you want to put that person on their back and don't be that guy, you know? So they try to take an Olympic wrestler down, you know? It's like you want to have that cat-like balance and always landing on your feet. And again, the wrestler dictates where the fight goes. If you're going to be a striker, you want to make sure you can defend everyone's takedown that tries to take it down. You know, you can 10-time boxing world champion and somebody grabs you, and it's like, what you do then? You have to have a plan B, you know? And that's what made me veer away from the Muay Thai and the boxing and just jiu-jitsu, was like, because you're limiting it. It's not true fight, as fun as they can be, and as, like, you know, there's a very seductive aspect to jiu-jitsu because it's so fun, and obviously boxing as well, but you lose the realness of it, you know. Think street train sport kind of. It has to apply, if it's a self-defense sport, like, otherwise it's just a sport, you know. It's like it has to apply in a real life scenario too. That's why most people come in from the get-go, you know. It's like you want to learn how to protect yourself, you want to build your confidence, you want to get in shape, and then the competition is like, as their confidence does grow, as they do get better, as they do get in shape, you know, then they want to test their skills. That's when the competition comes. You know, people, and no one ever has to compete. 80% of our members don't compete. You know, we have our fight team, and you know, we have our jiu-jitsu guys that compete in the gi and the no-gi Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Our wrestler guys that compete in the wrestling, boxers, kickboxers, Muay Thai guys, and the MMA guys then, you know, so the guys that do it. And I encourage all my students to cross-train and everything, because if you're limiting yourself to training one thing, like, why? I don't get that, because again, if a fight can go in any direction. So that's, again, what I love about the MMA side of things is you're exploring everything. You know, there's so in depth, and anything can happen, and you have to. It's kind of like you've the rest of your life to learn these skills, and just if you're having fun doing it, again, like that's that martial artist first fight or second. If you come in and you want to be I want to be the next McGregor. You know, that person isn't here maybe in 2 weeks' time, because it quickly dawns on them how much work they have to do to get there. Whereas that man who comes in and he's got the family and a full-time job, and he's coming in part-time a couple of times a week, and he's just doing it because it's interesting, he's curious about learning the skills, open-minded, understands that hard work will lead to results, you know. That person in a year's time, they'll still be there because they're enjoying it, it's fun, and that's the secret ingredient to keep showing up, you know. And then before you know it, then having accumulated those hours, they're very, very, very high levels, you know. And as I said, again, that's the biggest thing I love about it is the lifestyle. You know, it's like when you come in every day and just work on yourself with your team. You know, you can work on your strength and conditioning, your fitness. That's a huge aspect for your athleticism. Goes with the martial arts. You can do your certain amount, but I'm not saying do limiting yourself to just running on the road 7 days a week, or just squatting 7 days a week. Every day, because of the diversity of the scenarios that can happen in a fight. You could be on the ground on your back, you could be on top of somebody, you could be striking and need to be quick in and out and angles. You need to be good with your hands, your legs, you need to be flexible, you need to be fast, you need to have good cardio, you need to be strong if it's a clinch. So again, every day is something different. It's very fun. You know, it's like, the members here they've different packages, whatever they want to do, but most of them, the limited ones, they can choose to literally come and go in any classes that they please. And like, so again, you're wrestling, you're boxing, you're working on that. The striking classes, you're adding the kicks and the other limbs and so on. The wrestling, takedowns, so everything from single and double legs to judo throws and snapping down the head. Then the jiu-jitsu, still wrestling, but it's submission wrestling now. It's like your every fight starts in the feet. So obviously we dive into that a lot as far as takedowns, takedown defense, get on top, stay on top, you know, and you have to work from your back to be able to get back on top, because obviously you don't want to be lying on your back if it was on the concrete out in self-defense. You know, you could be the nicest person in the world, wrong place, wrong time. And it's nice to have the confidence knowing that if something did happen, you have a fair chance of protecting yourself, you know? Yeah. And then the gi and the no-gi classes, so again, submission grappling. So again, you use your body weight and weight distribution and balance and leverage, you know, to again use your body to control someone else's body. And again, the narrow mind. Again, I was guilty for it before I was exposed to jiu-jitsu. I thought that just, you know, big muscles and bigger, stronger wins. What's up there? You know, and I quickly got, you know, a little lad just know what he wanted. And then, but again, having stuck at it and I suppose taking my beatings, and like obviously there's still, no matter how good you get there, there's still somebody at your level who can make you, you know, that can still give you that same humbling experience you get as a white belt. And you have to seek out that, or you can hide in the shadows and just roll at the beginners all the time. You know, it makes you feel like yourself. So it's like, how you know, you have to be testing yourself. But everyone gets smashed in the beginning. You know, like again, the thing with boxing comparison to jiu-jitsu, like you take any day one beginner, any child, anyone, and like they know the fundamentals of fist, swing, face. You know, it's like a punch. You know, whereas you can't just, and like you can almost kind of fake it till you make it with that. But in jiu-jitsu, you can't fall into an inverted triangle, or if you don't know what it is, or if you've never been shown how to do it. You know, it's like a different language, and there's a science and a skill there that, again, the biggest step out of your comfort zone. That's what I said. If people are any way at all curious, and it's like, what's it like, or come in, and you'll be made to feel right at home. Everyone's so friendly, sound, and that's across the community in jiu-jitsu gyms. It's a very relaxed, kind of welcoming, laid back, in the good gyms, a laid back vibe. And again, because it cuts the kind of shit with people straight away. Like, you get me in the boxing, I've been in a lot of different gyms over the years, and again, I try and create an atmosphere in here from combined with all the good ones that I've experienced myself growing up. And again, to be professional, to get the results, but at the same time, very welcoming, humble, safe environment for people to be able to show up from any background, any skill level, no matter who you are, what your fitness level is like. Come in and get better, you know. And then again, each class working on an individual skill, and then the MMA classes. So they're predominantly our fight team classes, and people wait a good 6 weeks before they come to those. And that's where you get the chance to blend all the martial arts together. So you're not limited to just boxing or just kicking or just, you know, just wrestling. And again, it's optional. You don't have to come to them, but they're the chance when you get to experience it again in a controlled, safe way with eyes on you. How to connect the dots, you know, in a real scenario, not just doing one thing, you know.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you could be 10-time boxing world champion, and I could have a 16-year-old blue belt in here that just double legs you, and he can, you know, do what he wants to. You know,
they'd be on their back like a turtle almost.
Exactly. And again, the narrow mind will say, "Oh no, you know, that's not going to happen," or "I can just do this."
Yeah.
But it's like, until they experience it firsthand themselves, they don't, the light bulb doesn't go off, you know.
Yeah.
And again, I'm over 20 years doing martial arts myself now, and I've been in a lot of different martial arts fights over my life, a lot of different gyms, a lot of different coaches, and I'm confident to say that again, it's one of the best things that ever happened to me. You know, as a sport, again, growing up, it gives you something. You know, it gives you something to work on. You're working on yourself every day, and it's fun. I didn't want to be out doing other stuff. At a time, I think when I needed it, I was in the gym every evening, work. You know, just they're my friends, they're my teammates, and you know, again, to me, some of the best memories I ever have are in the gyms and the crack on the mats with your friends, and then traveling for fights and just and I have students here, some of my best students. I have students who can beat 99% of the people in the gym, and they've never in their life competed. You know, and they're not on Instagram, they're not on any of this stuff. They're just you know, they just come in every day and they enjoy the work, the lifestyle, and keep themselves sharp, you know. And we've kids now as young as 4, a huge kids team now from the age of 4 up to men and women in their 50s, you know. We've kids that started with their parents that started soon after them because they seen the change in the child, you know. And the families that train together now, and it's a cool scene there. Like, you'd see them in even competition days together, you know, and it's that thing that they all check. Because again, I might never find myself accidentally in a soccer match, but I might accidentally find myself caught having to protect myself, you know, or in a fight. It's like, you might, you know, it's just, I think martial arts as well as swimming, there are 2 sports you can learn that can potentially save your life at some point, you know. And again, the big thing that I find with martial artists is now again, there's levels, and it does vary as through individuals as well, but it's like, for the most part, it's like, it's very humble people, because, you know, like in certain things, like, you know, when you're trying, you might like something that someone done, you're trying to sort it out with a shoulder, or trying to score more points. Whereas again, in martial arts, from day one, especially in jiu-jitsu, like in boxing, you like, I could have knocked you out if I went harder, or this, that, or the other. Especially from a jiu-jitsu point of view, they call it the gentle art, in a way where it's like, you can show somebody that you can do what you want to them in a very gentle way that does not hurt them. You know, it's you know, basically like wrapping them up and slowly doing a submission where they have the chance to, oh, I'm caught, tap, let go. You know, it's like a game. You let go, you high five, and you go again. You rinse and repeat. You know. And again, there's a mixture. You come in day one, beginner as a white belt. There's other white belts here. There's people that are here 2 or 3 days, 2 or 3 weeks, 2 or 3 months, and several years. You know. So, and again, you that's good for you. That shouldn't be a scary thing. That should be like, I have the opportunity here with all these people, iron sharpens iron, to make me better, you know. And you can test your skills against people who actually know what they're doing, and not just against someone, you know, who can't fight, you know. Especially if you want to grow your own skills, you know. And again, specifically from a fighting scenario right now. But again, we try and adapt that philosophy and mindset to all of our training and the conditioning side of things as well. We do an awful lot of gymnastics and movement and yoga. Again, just to build people's ability to throw their own body weight around. You know, like you take a gymnast. I heard a cool example before that you take like 10 athletes from 10 different sports to make them all play each other's sports. On average, the guy who will do the best in every sport will be the gymnast. because they're adaptable with their body. They can do what the other athletes can do with their bodies. We know that the other athletes can reenact what the gymnasts can do. You know, because they haven't trained that way. As far as you look at a floor routine for an Olympic gymnast, you know, it's crazy. And having that adaptability, if you can't control your body, how can you control somebody else? Especially when it comes to like a grappling exchange, you know, when you clinch up and stuff. And that's why I'd be a huge fan of any movement in gymnastics training. Just again, building that control of your body, making you more athletic. And again, that's adaptable to any sport, you know. And even just walking around day to day in life, you know, you're easier, lighter on your feet and better control of your body and stuff. And yeah. So I've been ranting there for a few minutes, but I'm just trying to give you a good insight into the way things kind of work in here, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And like Colin, like you kind of you delved into it and you gave us like a definitely in-depth analysis and kind of how mixed martial arts work and how many different disciplines within mixed martial arts like benefit you as a whole, not only as a fighter but as a person as well, and kind of in your kind of your physical stature as well. It does help you. Colin, I'd just like to ask you kind of about your own kind of fighting career. Now I've seen that like in the last couple of years you've competed in the amateur world championships in the MMA kind of scene, and like I've seen you do a lot of the kind of like the grappling side as well. Like just talk to us a bit about your fighting career and how that took off.
Yeah. Just I just absolutely love martial arts since I've been a little kid. See, they're all the best. So I'm in the gym now, and there's class on upstairs, and there's people kind of coming in and going out. But as young as I can remember, like I've loved martial arts. When I was doing karate and boxing as a young lad, I always wanted to be the next Rocky, you know, or the next. Yeah. I was always competitive, like, and I suppose I had a father who was very successful in his own sport when he was alive. He died when I was 8, and he was a very successful rally driver. And then I don't know. I obviously. I presume I got a lot of my competitiveness from him, but it's self-competitiveness. It's for myself. Do you get me? It's like I don't care about anyone else or what they do in a nice sense. Obviously, it's like it's for myself. I just want, you know, every day, like anyone, you're trying to test yourself and, you know, get the most out. Every day try to be better than yesterday, kind of thing. You know, and I always wanted to. I just love fighting, I suppose, and like there's so many different influences I had as far as like what you could call role models and stuff, and I had different groups of friends growing up as well. And I suppose in the earlier years, I had a couple of different groups who I suppose were liked fighting for the wrong reasons, you know. Yeah. But again, that was eye opening for me, you know, as I grew up, and you could see things with different eyes and stuff, you know. And so because you learn to fight, as like it in turn it teaches you not to fight. Like I said, the guys who act like in the beginning when I wasn't that good, maybe had a different outlook to when you actually do it and you learn, you know, you learn the values through martial arts, you know, and you learn a lot about yourself in the process, you know, and your ability to handle that pressure, I suppose, especially in a competition environment, you know. And, and the idea of it is like to get comfortable being uncomfortable, you know. And again, I just that to me I just love that responsibility, you know. But from my own point of view, as I say, with the martial arts, growing up, in the earlier years, I competed a fair bit in the karate tournaments, you know, just like in the hall, it could be, that's where the first competition started. And a little bit in the boxing and the kickboxing and the Muay Thai in my earlier teen years. And then when I started training in Kenny Top Pro when I was about 15, they're no longer an MMA gym, I don't think now, they just do kickboxing. My first coach there was Miles Price. He's a pro MMA fighter from Waterford. Yeah. Mick Bland and Mick Brennan and Paul Cummins. They were all my coaches back then. And again, I competed my first few MMA fights were for them. And I competed a bit in jiu-jitsu. I went to college then in Athlone for 4 years when I was about 17, 18. Yeah. I met Kieran Davern, who was one of Ireland's top gyms and coaches and grapplers, and a former pro MMA fighter as well. And I met him back in, I think, 2009 for the first time. Yeah. And again, I spent a few years training with Kieran, and I competed a lot under him, both MMA and in jiu-jitsu. And while I was training with Kieran, through him, I also met John Kavanagh. And we used to travel then. I used to travel from Athlone to Kieran's gym in Dublin, and from Athlone to Dublin, pretty much every single night for all of college. And then I left college, a couple of years then. And when I left college, old school mammy, and obviously for myself as well, I wanted to go to college to have, just to have something, I said I'm going to do something that goes hand in hand with the gym. So I done health science with nutrition. And again, I learned a lot on how to manage my own, I suppose, optimizing your performance from performing, as well as recovery from sessions, and making weight for fights, and how to do it safely. In the early days, I would have done it just I'd stop eating, until I met the weight. Jesus. Whereas now it's like a science to it, and I can give that professional advice to any of my students in here as well. But after college, then I was like, I was always on my own little Rocky story in my head growing up, if you get me. I just look for different reasons. But every single day, I was as grown up, I just in the gym, and I just love working out. I love feeling better. I loved that feeling sharp, and it was good for the mind and good for the body, and again it was fun. And I had work experience in a lot of different jobs growing up. Like I worked in a couple of garages. I worked as a lifeguard. I worked when I was in college. Then I got to work for 6 months doing working with the health science nutrition in labs and doing like research and all that. And it was soul destroying for me. Like parts of it were interesting, Like it was like, look, there was a lot of good to take from it, but for me, because coming from having so much fun, and for me to something I found that I took to straight away, the martial arts. It was something that I was good at, and to me, like you hear, like I try and stress that to anyone, it's like go with what you enjoy, and it's like what you're good at. And I always try to. You'd hear that going around, and I always tried to just keep telling that to myself and stay on it, And I'd have my mother telling me, about, again, worried Irish mammy, always trying to, about your future, always trying to get you to go and do it the way it's meant to be done,
Yeah.
And but I always, all through, I started my first gym when I was about 14, 15. My father used to have a car garage next to where I live out in Clonmel, out in the country.
Yeah.
When he was alive, and after he passed away, it was just it was left there for years. And because I lived in the country, I couldn't. And especially before I started driving, I couldn't always get to the gyms. The local gyms, as far as the local boxing and karate, but not MMA in Kilkenny. And again, my mother works as a nurse down in Kilkenny, so I used to go down to her before I was driving as well sometimes. And cousin, and then when I started driving again, I couldn't stay out of the place. But at 17, but the shed that was next to my house, because we were out in the country, and I never had. So on the days I couldn't get training, I just said, right, I'm going to clean out this place and make a gym out, my home gym. And me and my little brother spent about a week just emptying the whole place out. It was horrendous. And hung up a boxing bag, and then that was our gym. We had nothing but a boxing bag. We didn't even have gloves at the time. And as the birthdays and Christmases and part-time jobs and the savings, and as the years went on, I just kept adding little bits here and there, adding I could just, because I loved that. At that time, I never had I was training because I wanted to be the best in the world, I wasn't training with the intention of having a gym. And then, like at that time, no one knew what MMA was really. I was lucky enough to have transfer from the kickboxing to the MMA fairly young, and just by chance. And this is back. My first time. Even I remember when I first started in Kilkenny. I went to one of my teammates was fighting on a Celtic Gladiator back in 2009, 10 or 11. I'm not sure. It was up in Portlaoise, and the headline on the fight was Conor McGregor, and the co-headline was Kieran Davern. Didn't know who either of them were at the time. And Kieran, a future coach, teammate, and same as Conor. And it was crazy looking back in it. And just even I remember seeing John in the hallway, as he was cornering Conor and stuff. And again, it just crazy back then how no one knew who anyone was. No one even knew what the sport was. Like back in school, people like I had to explain MMA every time. It's like the karate and the cage people. And literally in the space of a few short years, obviously thanks to Conor, and it's crazy to see how big it's gotten and how well known it's gotten. But And again, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing probably had that not happened. But at that time, when I was training for my own competitions, I'd no one to train with unless I could get to the gym. And like I said, there's no one around here done it. There wasn't an MMA gym, and so I used to be trying to show it to some of my friends. I'd show them like a couple of moves just to make them, and they were always into it. They thought it was cool and they were curious, and which made me enjoy showing it to them. Anyone that wants to learn. And that was kind of starting the flame, I suppose, from coaching from day one. But and like my day one training partner, like since he's a little baby, has been my little brother Frank, and like we've been obviously we've done endless training and rounds together since he's been a child. But he's actually upstairs taking the class now. So again, he's still training every day. But when we started, that was literally just to get myself training partners for my competitions. I'd show my friends a few moves to make them a bit better, and then we just fight basically. We do a round. We didn't even have any mats or anything. We just do it in the gym or in the shed. And in the gym, it was basically 4 concrete walls and a galvanized roof. It was like a hay barn. It used to be a hay barn. And it was horrendous, leaks everywhere. And like as the years went on, until we moved to Clonmel, like all the years I've been out there, we had leaks on the mat, and like there's even one point where the concrete under one, because the building was so old, the concrete under the mats caved in a bit, and there was a big hole in the middle of the mat. I used to just be telling people to stay out of class to watch out for the hole, or to be filled with water from leakage and fucking.
I can imagine if someone shot a takedown there now, it would have been very painful.
Yeah, man. You'd be landing on concrete exposed through the mats. There used to be birds flying around in the sheds. There used to be cows out in the yard because my uncle's farm is next door. There was no gym like it. Like, it was crazy. But that's where it started, and it grew. And some of the gold members from back then are still with me today. I have guys with me from 7 years ago that are still training today, and they're very, very high level now, obviously. But at that time, like, that just grew and grew. And I all through school, I was like, when I was in school, I was kind of doing it like on the week. I started off kind of coaching just on the weekend, maybe on a Saturday. I'd do an hour class, and I'd have 4 or 5 friends that would come out. And eventually a friend would bring another friend. He'd ask me, can he bring another friend? And that kept going. And I enjoyed it because I was training and I was getting my own workout in. And I enjoyed exchanging ideas and moves and going over stuff with the lads, showing them, breaking things down. And I found through coaching, it helped me simplify things in my own head, trying to explain what I do. And it helped me kind of understand my own game better, and it helps you improve a lot. And because like, if you're showing something 10 times to people how to do it, and by the time they go to do it, you've already done your 10 or 20 reps, fast, slow, and different stances and stuff. And it got as that I was in the first year, I was coaching completely for free. It was just for fun, or even the first couple of years. And I eventually got to the point where I just ran a class on like a Friday night and a Saturday, and it was like €5 for the class. And got some more equipment with that then as time went on, and then it grew to the point where I was trying to do it like every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, because lads eventually after training a while, they stuck at it. They wanted to start fighting, but I couldn't really let them fight. They're training one night a week, they weren't ready. But then basically that just grew and grew. In college then I used to come home on like a Thursday or Friday, and we continued that all through college. And it's only when I finished college then, like, we had a solid bunch of about 50 lads that had trained regularly out in Clonmel. They used to travel out, they'd carpool out every night. Yeah. And some of the best training we ever got done was out in that cold shed. Like, it was kind of real rocky feel to it, Yeah. But then after college, then I was like, fighting was always something that I just had. I'm going to be a fighter. I'm going to do it. This is what I'm doing. Because I loved it. It wasn't work to me. I get to go to the gym rather than like, I need to go to the gym. It's like, it's like I love it, and I love the coaching, and I love even coaching my younger brother growing up as well. I got to see what he got out of it, and trying to, help him, be ready and stand up. Again, not take shit from anyone and stuff. And then I when I was coaching here, after college, then I bit the bullet, and I basically said I'm going to try and go at this full time. And I made the decision, right? Let's just seek it, because there always seemed to be. I used to get a lot of messages when I was out in Clonmel of lads, when you come to Clonmel, or you're just too far away, that usual stuff. But I got a lot of that over a long period of time. So I was like, right, the curiosity seems to be there. And I said, right, if I get two birds with one stone, where I can try and make a living doing what I enjoy, at the same time give me the chance to train every day to get ready for my own competitions and my own fights and whatever I want to do, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what it is now. It's like, now I'm just trying to stay obviously fit and healthy, and obviously build a gym and other things that I'm working on as well. And all my students, and I get more passionate about them competing than about my own, you know? It's no, I don't care about when I'm fighting, but when I have a little 5-year-old going up on the mat, it's like, you know, go on, it's a different feeling, because part of you is going out with them, like, you know, they're putting their trust in you, and when they win, then and they look at you, and they're like, you know, that's a cool thing to share.
It's rewarding.
Yeah, exactly, and I enjoy that, and helping people, I suppose, in any way, trying to give anyone that comes in here that wants to learn or to have a go at it. I'll do my very best to try and give you what I got out of it growing up, you know?
Yeah.
And again, I don't think there's enough of that out there, you know? It can be a cruel world, like, you know, and I think a lot of people that don't ever get exposed to that don't have that kind of way of thinking, you know, almost, you know? It changes how you, again, like eating humble pie, it changes a lot. Martial arts does that, it changes a lot of how you see yourself and others, and it takes the aggression out of a lot of people, do you get me? And it's like, you know, and people aren't as quick to, you know, quick to get into arguments, but at the same time, it gives you the confidence to stand up for yourself, you know.
Yeah.
But when I left college and I said, right, I'm going to try to go at this full time, then I didn't have a clue what I was doing. You know, I didn't know anything about the business side of things or how to actually make it work. But I learned. You know, I spent a long time researching myself and just trying to educate myself on it, and I was like, I always kind of said, you know, yes, just say yes, and we kind of like learn to deal with it as it comes, kind of, you know, cross that bridge. Yeah. And just the best decision I've ever made. Looking back now, we're in Clonmel over 2 years, and over 2 years now, and we're in our second gym. The first one it was just the first one I found. I was like, I jumped on it, and down at the Castle Road roundabout, and I jumped on it because it kind of reminded me of the griminess of our place out in Cloneen. There was a bit of a garage feel to it. But come winter time, then I realised how much I hated that because of how cold it got, you know?
Yeah.
And so I was just free. You see your toes be white on the mat trying to warm up. And I'd have little kids coming in on a Saturday morning, they see their breath in front of their face and they can't feel their feet. So it's like, it wasn't good. And I was lucky enough to source a much nicer place up here, which in Arguia. And it's going great now. We've 2 training rooms, fitness studio, as well as our main mat room upstairs. We have a fight store here now. Change rooms, male and female, put main bathroom, and then the showers will be in soon as well. And it's again kind of just a little community centre for like a big playground for adults. You know, people come in and literally just work on themselves, have fun, chill out, and abide by social distancing. And
absolutely,
and other than that, like again, like the gym has never stopped growing since we came here now. Jeez, we've got 300 members here now in Clonmel, and between over 100 kids, you know, alone. And it's going great. And again, the level is always going up and up. I look at what the 4 or 5-year-olds can do now. I was like, I didn't learn that till I was 20. You know, it's like it's crazy. The level is going to be in another 10 years. Those that stay at it, they're going to be such high level. But yet they're all the most respectful, humble kids, and no bullying, and they're all looking out for each other and stuff. And the same thing with the adults. They're just the bigger kids, you know. And it's cool to see. Like looking back at the first gym, this is our 4th gym now. We moved twice to do 2 different places in Cloneen, 2 different sheds, and then the first one in Clonmel, and now this one. And I do plan on moving again down the line if the right place comes up. I'd like to go bigger, but for now I'm happy out here, and we just take it as it comes, you know. And obviously with the whole pandemic, that's put a big hold on fights. So I would have had a fight definitely before this. My last fight was in November, and then soon after Christmas, then we got this way to get one lockdown, and we're back now. And I hope to, if there's a couple of competitions coming up that I hope to get in on, just to, again, as far as my goals for competing now, it's like I'd like to turn pro MMA. Like I see pro amateur. It's a name. Like I know a lot of pros who I think shouldn't be pros. Same way I know a lot of amateurs who can beat a lot of pros. You know, it's like you could be a day one. You walk into the gym and as a day one beginner, and you have a fight in 6 weeks' time. You're an amateur fight, but there could be a guy fighting amateur who's training 10, 15, 20 years. You get me? He's got the same skill as and experience at the skill level as a pro. And it's like that's the way, like I've had guys who maybe started 2 years ago who are pro now, you know, and it's like it's like you can turn pro in the morning and you can be spoon fed to, you know, as a journeyman, you know, or a step. It's a cool game in that sense. But for me, I just love the competition side of it. I love working, having a date set, and I work towards something. And it's like, you know, you're getting the best out of yourself on the way there. And geez, if I can get something else out of it, as far as, you know, an extra few quid, you know, it take.
Won't be bad.
Yeah, and I like competing and everything. I love competing, whether it's just box, because every day here we're doing something. You know, I've trained and competed against some of the best boxers in the country, some of the best kickboxers, Muay Thai guys, the best jiu-jitsu guys, and the best wrestlers, and the best MMA guys. So it's like I like trying to beat or testing your skill level against a guy who just trains one thing. You know, and it's like, but you have a whole other area that you can use. Do you get me? It's like, and you know, I suppose I compete a lot in jiu-jitsu. I just find that so fun. You know, jiu-jitsu, there's something that comes up every couple of months to give you something to train towards to stay sharp. Otherwise, you'd be drifting from your training and stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And like, I literally, bar injuries and stuff, you know, like I've been training literally pretty much all year round, like 360 days a year, 75 days a year since I've been a little kid. You know, it's never been like an off season of martial arts. There's never been nothing to maybe stop training since I've been a young lad. You know, it's been non-stop. And again, my students here now, they keep me sharp every day. You know, that's why every time I talk about, I have a target on my back. Every little young lad is trying to. But I love it. Again, it keeps you honest and keeps you sharp and it keeps you training and stops you drifting, you know. And as far as competitions, like, just take whatever comes my way now to have fun. I'm hoping to do grappling industries if it goes ahead in October, and maybe travel abroad. The World Championships are on in December, I think.
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu. And I'd love to try and get out to them and get a medal. But MMA wise, I'd say after Christmas, definitely I'll try to line up something, and more than likely the next one will be my pro debut. But again, I'd like to go back to the IMAS for it'll be my 5th time, and I'm mad to get that gold medal, you know. But and I believe I can. Like why would you be going to them if you didn't? You know, it's like
exactly.
Yeah, like I know the level that's out there, and I've tested myself against enough of guys that have been there, done that over the years to know kind of it's achievable. You know, once you play your cards right on the day, you know, it's like, again, if I do fight amateur again, it'll just be to go out and do the IMAFs and try and get that gold. But if I don't, it'll be straight into the pro, which is kind of where I'm leaning towards, because I fought enough times now for free and gotten nothing far. So it's like,
it's time to make that next step.
It's the same thing. Like, look, when I first started MMA when I was first fighting for Kilkenny Top Pro, the rules back then were basically pro. It's like as the years went on, the amateur, it became more and more evolved as a sport, and the rules became safer,
more regulated.
Exactly, because we're trying to get it sanctioned as a sport by their sporting council, which it isn't right now. You know, we don't receive any funding whatsoever. Yeah. But like when my first fight, there was no shin pads, no tops. There's my first video. You can see me elbowing your man's leg, and the referee just there looking. You know, this is meant to be an amateur fight. You know, and it's like. Again, you could literally do whatever you wanted to, and as the years went on, then you're forced to you have to put on the top and kind of make it more like the singlet in amateur boxing, you know, and then the shin pads, which are like a slice of bread over your shins, but they look the part, you know, they still hurt, and so look, but again, look, I'll take whatever comes my way, whatever opportunities that I can create now. Like, again, I don't need that. Like, the gym is going great and I love it, but I want that, you know, because I'm only 26, you know. That's the competitor, I suppose, that'll always be in me. I can see myself competing, especially in jiu-jitsu, till the day I die, you know, the day my body starts moving. Yeah. But MMA now, I feel like the best that I've ever been. I'm the sharpest I've ever been, and I still don't feel like I'm anywhere near me primed, you know. It's like, I think now and over the next 5-10 years is when, if I am going to make a stab at it, that's when it's going, you know. And but as far as competitions, for myself, I'll take whatever comes my way, whether it's jiu-jitsu, boxing, Muay Thai, kickboxing. I want big, exciting fights now, and I can get a shot against a big name or anything, you know.
You'll take it straight away.
Yeah, look, see what happens. And same thing with all my fighters in here now. We've a lot of lads lined up for competition. There's meant to be a couple of shows in Ireland this side of Christmas, amateur shows. So we'll have a few lads on them. And but as of right now, there hasn't been any competitions yet. After the lockdown, so it's kind of put a big hold on everything. And like I suppose then jiu-jitsu and the MMA and like jiu-jitsu, since my first jiu-jitsu competition, I think it was like 15 again. It was in my first few months of training, and I don't know how many jiu-jitsu fights I've had. Like on any given tournament, depending on the size of your bracket, you could have anywhere from 3 to 10, 15 matches if you're doing the whole division, your division, and the absolutes. And it's like I've done definitely, I'd say north of just 500 plus individual fights in jiu-jitsu at this stage, you know. And then with my earlier years, I suppose, karate and the boxing, the kickboxing, and then from 15, 16 onwards, it was MMA then, and MMA, and then jiu-jitsu just kind of goes hand in hand with MMA just to keep you sharp, you know. It's like something every couple of months to train, go out and have a bit of fun and compete. It's a nice day out for the teams, you know. And but MMA is obviously the end goal, you know. That is the one I find the most fun, the most fascinating, and because again, it's true fighting. You know, it's not just punches.
One discipline, like it's the whole lot, like.
Yeah, but again, I love just rolling in jiu-jitsu and just boxing and just working. But again, you have to work on them on their own to be able to put them all together when that time comes as well. You know.
Yeah. But, Colin, with relation to like kind of your MMA career now, you're training under John Kavanagh, who's arguably like he's the most recognizable coach in the whole European circuit in terms of MMA. Like, how did that come about? Like in terms of meeting John, like being trained under him, how does it feel like to be like, because having such his calm and influence kind of over your career?
Look, obviously, so much respect for John, and he's done so much for me over the years. And like as I said, the first time I ever seen John was back on that Celtic Gladiator show. I went up to be in one of my teammates' corners, and I just seen John. I remember that was the first time I seen the SBG T-shirt and the grill, you know. And just he was in the same, you know, blue corner, red corner. I was in the same changing room as him and Conor McGregor, because that was the same change room the lad from my gym was fighting out of.
Yeah.
And again, didn't know who he was, but I just remember him. And no one knew who he was. No one even knew I didn't even know who Conor was at that time. And then as I said, when I went to college, when I started doing all the, like when you compete at the tournaments, the MMA scene and the jiu-jitsu scene was so small in Ireland back then. Like everyone kind of knew everyone. Do you get me? It's kind of like there was only a handful of like even competitors at the time. So if you go to a show or a tournament or like a competition, like you see the same people again and again, you know. And that's when everyone started, you know, you kind of hear SBG, and like they were a bit more involved with their training and their methods, and you see them doing their group warm-ups at competitions, and they're a little bit, you know, they knew a little bit what they were doing. They were named to be forced to be recognized on the scene at the time, and still are obviously. And as I said, when I went to college and I met Kieran Davern, Kieran had trained with John as well. You know, Kieran has a lot of shooting to John's. He's a black belt from John Kavanagh in jiu-jitsu, and I used to, as I said, I travelled down with them from Athlone and from Tullamore. We used to go down to Dublin then, and I used to try. That's when Kieran introduced me to John and got me training with the fight team down there. And ever since then, whenever I can, like again, we're a fair bit away from Dublin, but every single time I can, I used to go up in the train for summers as well. I'd be up and down there every single day in the train. And I spend a lot of hours behind the wheel and the motor going up and down over the years now, you know. But I love it. Like you'd be there trying to find the energy to fly up, and you'd be driving home. Then you can't hold your arm, you're smiling away at yourself coming down the motorway. You know, it's a mad feeling. Like it's John again obviously give me the opportunity to represent him, what I've learned from him, the values I've learned from him as a fighter and as a coach. Obviously to have the gym that we have today, like, and represent those 3 letters. And again, he's given me a couple of big fight opportunities as well over time, and I'm sure hopefully more to come once I can get back training regularly up there again. And that's the first couple of years of the gym here. I had to be here literally every
day. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's gotten to that stage in the last while where it's at that point now where it's kind of like a system running itself, and I have other experienced coaches where I can kind of sneak away here and there, you know, and again keeping a routine as far as going up there to train. And I haven't been up when the lockdown restrictions first ended. I was up for a few days, and in the last couple of weeks now with the new ones, I haven't been up. But once these, I suppose, subside again, you know, from the mixing of gyms and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm trying. Once that eases, I'll be back up there in the routine. I was coaching up there on a Sunday. I used to coach jiu-jitsu up there every Sunday for the last like 3-4 years. And just since lockdown ended, I kind of, you know, again, it was a great routine. But during the lockdown, it showed me the value of having time to, you know, not being caught in that rat race and having time for yourself, you know, and your family and my girlfriend and things like that. And so to me, then I just made the decision to not continue coaching there after the lockdown, and now I'm putting that time into my own gym and my friends and family. And but rather than being up there now, is because I'm a coach all the time down here, whereas when I'm up there, I want to just blend in, you know, and just be a student and just I don't want. Like, and I thought when I was in the coaching role, you'd always be people asking me questions, this, that, and the other, which I don't mind. But it's nice to go up and just not be that person. So it's nice to go up and just blend in, and I'm just here to be a student and train and get my own session in, and you know. And and I have a lot of friends up there, and I enjoy the rounds and the there's a lot of bodies and high level training partners up there. But in recent years now, I say it again and again and again, like the level of my training partners that I have down here, who people don't know of, you know, they're not out there as far as fame at yet, but they give me just as good tough rounds as any of the guys I've gone with up there. You know, it's like the level is there. You know,
you have great lads in there. Like you have the likes of Sean Sweetman, you have the likes of Jason Hassey, Alex Connolly, you know, Declan Ryan, just a few that I know that do train out of your gym. Like you're very kind of high level guys, and I think the sky's the limit in terms of your gym. Like,
thank you, and that's nice to hear. But again, you know, a rising tide lifts all boats in the harbour, and that's the way I look at it. I'm just trying to. If one person here does it, see, Jim, if one person in here does well, you know, it affects everyone. It has a knock-on effect on everyone. It opens up doors for other people, it inspires other people, and again, like if I never step foot in the competition for the rest of my life, I'm happy with like the morals and values, the philosophy, I suppose, and the experiences up to now that I've had through martial arts my whole life are, you know, invaluable to me. You know, it's like are priceless. You know, it's like, so to me, everything else is just, you know, it's fun. I compete because I want to compete, because I enjoy it. I compete to improve, as you say. You know, you improve, not to prove. You know, like I've nothing to prove to anyone else. There's nothing to prove to, you know, I've proven it to myself already. But to me, it's just now, you know, how far, you know, are you willing to go, kind of, you know, and that's, you know, it's kind of like, to me, it's just, you know, I fight every single day here, so it's just go out and have a bit of fun on a stage and reap the rewards, you know. And like I believe I'm good enough to go out and make a stab at it, and I'm excited to see what happens now in the next few months. So
100%.
Yeah, man.
And Colin, I'd like just to ask you just a couple of things, just in terms of the current MMA scene, kind of globally at the moment. Like there's a few exciting fights coming up, such as Khabib Nurmagomedov against Justin Gaethje, Israel Adesanya versus Paulo Costa, and Dustin Poirier against Tony Ferguson. Like with them kind of three fights in general, like how excited are you for them fights? Like there's a very interesting contrast of styles there.
Would you believe I don't actually watch a huge amount of the UFC? I use that. Yeah. I'd be so busy with it here. It's all every day. It's like when I'm out of here, I kind of just, what's up on? I just kind of just do, you know, I'd be trying to be minded elsewhere. But growing up, I was obviously big fanboy. I used to watch it. I inspired by a lot of the fighters. I used to, you know, watch them every single day. Yeah. But in recent times now, it's just kind of like when it's on and there's a big fight, and if I can get a hold of it, I'll watch it. You know, and sometimes I record it and I watch it the following day. And I like to just study the fights. You know, if it's a good matchup and it's a well matched contest, I break them down and watch them. Like I watched them a couple of times. I watched them in slow motion and things like that. Yeah. And just break down sequences and stuff. You know, and And but look, like anyone, obviously, if it's a good fight, I get excited, you know, and if they're hyping it up, unreal. And styles make matchups, you know. So when it comes to that highest 1%, it can always go either way. You know, anyone can catch anyone on any given day. You know, it's like the gaps can be much different and bigger in the low amateur levels, but when you're climbing that ladder and it gets to that top 1%, what separates them is so small, you know, and it's like it can go either way. Who can implement, and that's what makes it so exciting, you know, because you never actually know, you know, it's a gamble, you know, and that's the fun of even being in there. Is like obviously both guys are going in there believing they're going to win, you know, and they both have the balls to roll the dice, and that's what, again, that's the excitement of it, you know. And when like it's the highs and the lows. If you win, you feel like king of the world, no one can touch you. If you lose, it's like humble pie again, you know. But you can get back in the saddle. You can react and you can quit and give up and never improve from that day, or you can, you know, one lad who got caught, whoop you do, back in the saddle, let's go again, you know, get better and keep improving, you know. And so, but as far as those fights, I definitely watch them. I record them, and I always try and record them. Whenever if I've nothing to do and I sit down for coffee, I just watch them, you know. But I don't stay up to 5 a.m. anymore unless there's somebody I really know, you know, unless I'm on it.
Oh, stop! Like I've kind of, in a way, since lockdown. When lockdown happened, like, you know, with combat sports and whatever sport, like I'm interested in a multitude of sports, like whether it's combat sports, football, or motor racing, or whatever it is. Like I'm interested in many sports. And
hey man, I appreciate every sport, and obviously every sport. Some are really exciting, some are fun to play, and they're great for your fitness and they're a game. You know? But again, I love that aspect about martial arts as well. But I love the realness of it. You know, the primal aspect to it. Do you get me? It's very natural. So you go to every country and every place on planet Earth, people know what fighting is. You know, it's like our martial arts. It's like it's the same with any animal that's on planet Earth. It's like it's a natural thing. Whereas you go from country to country, not everyone plays GAA, not everyone plays American football or Aussie rules. Or, you know, it's like a language that every human being knows. You know, and it's like, and again another thing why I love it.
Like what I was just about to say to you, Colin, is when the UFC came back that time, like when it was the first sport to kind of come back on live television, it was great. Like, you know, like watching the UFC and like all the kind of MMA and boxing, everyone that since it's come back behind closed doors, it's much more real now. Even the fan like spectacle, it's gone. But you hear the punches, like you hear like the coaches in the corner go more clearly, and it's beautiful to watch at the moment. And I suppose for me, looking into them fights, there's so many like contrasting styles, and you know, they're very exciting. The one I kind of excited for most is Adesanya against Costa. Costa, like he's huge, like he's very explosive. And Adesanya, who's very good at managing distance, and his timing is just unbelievable. And that's a fight I think is just, it could go either way.
Yeah, you already have a very educated mindset on it. Even the way you're talking, that's cool to see. You understand, you know what you're talking about. You know, like a lot of people, you know, naive to the skill aspect and understanding about the different styles and what they do and so on. But yeah, you asked me about that fight anyway. The Adesanya fight, is it? Like, look again. It could go either way, you know. Obviously, both guys are there to win. One isn't gonna. Styles make matchups, but I think the best style is no style, because you have to be able. There's 8 billion people in the world. You know, if you're going to beat every single person in the world to be and seen as invincible, you have to be able to adapt your style to whatever this lad decides to do it to you. You know, whether he tries to take you down, kick you, orthodox, southpaw, whatever shots he are explosive, and you have to have an answer to everything. You know, and be able to adapt and react. So again, you and in the moment, then it's just reacting, relying on your training and that built-in muscle memory and instinct and stuff. You know, you have to. That's when you have to have the rounds done. You know.
Yeah.
But as far as that fight, look, Adesanya's on a roll. So let's keep. I'll back him. We'll keep him going.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's on a roll.
Colin, one final thing for you, just in relation to combat sports. Mike Tyson is making his comeback at 53 years of age against Roy Jones Jr. What do you think about that? Like, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, fair play to him. I think that's cool. Like again, everyone does what they want to do, you know, and different strokes, different folks. No one knows what goes on in his head, you know, and he's obviously nothing to prove. Like, it's not to prove things to anyone else, I'm sure, it's to prove it to himself. Maybe he just got that spark ignited in him, and he felt that he wanted to go out and just test things. It's kind of like, you know, do I still got it kind of thing? You know, like, can I still pull this off? Can I still get in shape and do this? And by the looks of him, he definitely is, you know. And an iconic figure, and I can't wait to see him back in the ring. Look, you hate to see him regret getting back in after the legacy he's created for himself. You like to see him, you know, go out in a sword, like, you know. But yeah, I can't look. Who isn't excited for that? Everyone, I'm sure, wants. The whole world is watching Mike Tyson, you know, even at the age he is, and I'm sure he can still not, like, at that. Like, you're not going to forget it. Like, as far as, like, you're coming around the average age, I suppose, between 30 to 35 is when most people reach their peak bone and muscle mass density, you know, and that's generally around that peak phase that they call it with athletes, you know. But
I think I've just lost you there, Colin.
Well, he's still there.
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah.
I was just saying, like, you know, the average age, I suppose, 30 to 35 is when most adult athletes peak, you know, because of their peak muscle, naturally age and genetics and DNA, like, your peak bone and muscle density is going to be at that age. And obviously you've had a certain number of years to build that experience and timing and all that. And after that, then it's harder to maintain muscle mass and bone density and all. And, like, what would go more so would be obviously that explosive, you know, fast twitch speed and stuff, and maybe the timing from not getting those same rounds in. But the skill and the understanding of the sport and the science, and that's something that you have to train. That's not something you can just be shown on day one. That takes years to develop. Having been there, done that, and gotten caught with things 1,000 times, to know where to move your head and the angle and when to position your body at this position, and the timing of knowing when to move, you know. And it's like, as Connor said, timing beats speed, precision beats power, you know. And, like, it's a skill first and foremost. And, like, athleticism is something he can probably build back up to a certain level again, you know. And but it's not as if he's forgotten how to throw a punch or throw a box, like, you know.
No, I seen the videos recently, and it's just he still has it, like.
That's a lifetime of muscle memory that's built into him. It's like, you know, lads coming back here after the lockdown thinking, did you forget your jiu-jitsu? You know, it's like, you know, it's in you. Your timing will go off. You might be a little bit less fit as far as, you know, your physical ability. See you, Craig? And but again, it's still in you, you know, and you build up that sharpness and your timing again pretty quickly from your training, you know. And again, it's cool to inspire. I'm sure it'll inspire a lot of lads his age to see him. It'll inspire a lot of lads his age to, you know, look, oh, that usual. It shows that champion mindset. It's not like, oh, if I was 10 years younger, I'm too old. It's like, you know, it's like people giving them every excuse. They're giving themselves every excuse they can to not do something, you know. And it's far too often it's their age, or it's like, you know, there's another classic example. But then they'll shun that by saying, oh, but he's this or he's that, or he's not. He's a person. He once shot his nappy as a baby. You know, he's a person. He's you know, it's like you learn as you go, and you can, you know, you choose what you focus on and choose what to put your time into, you know. And that's cool. That's it. That's already making me say to myself, I want to do that when I'm that age. You know, it's like it's cool, like, you know, and fair play to him, respect, because again, I'm sure he's plenty of money and he's nothing to prove. He's doing it to test himself. You know, he's as famous as he could possibly ever be. You know, it's like there's a different motivation there. It's not. I doubt it's fueled by hate to prove other people that, and it's because he doesn't need that. He's Mike Tyson. You know, it's for himself, and it's like just to bring his own inner competitive person. You know, it's like a fighter. Like, that's the one thing I've ever seen with fighters in here, with myself. They never feel like they've trained enough. You know, it's like you know, they be strapping up busted limbs and they still come to training. You know, it's like, you know, because you're against yourself. You know, it's like come. You can't control that, and your opponent does, but you can control everything you do as far as your preparation and how you train, eat, sleep, and all that. And you know, confidence comes from preparation, and the doubt comes in through the days you didn't grow up. You know, and when you know you could have. You know, and so yeah, that's my opinion.
Yeah. And absolutely, and like I look at it, it's just gonna be great to see Mike Tyson live, because like obviously he fought a lot when I was really young. Like I would have been a young child. I wouldn't have got the opportunity to watch him live, and the fact I'm going to get that opportunity very soon, like I can't wait. Now. It's going to be great.
I know, crazy. That's Frank.
Colin, thanks very much for coming on this morning. It's been the hour is actually absolutely after flying. You're after giving us like a great insight into kind of your own mindset in terms of fighting and your own gym and kind of how driven you are in terms of combat sports. And it's been great to kind of pick your brain in terms of different talking points. So like it means a lot that you did come on this morning because I know you're very busy yourself.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it again. My pleasure. And anytime you want to go again, give us a shout. I'll chat all day.
No problem at all, Colin. Cheers. Thanks very much for coming on.
See you, bro. Thank you.
Cheers.
Take care.
Bye.
How do I turn off this?